tonight, and all we'll have left is college baseball and maybe a little MLB. This is Pastor Rod.
Could one of y'all pass the gosh darn rock? Hey, yo, I'm trying, I ain't lying, and hosting this will be Brian.
Yeah.
Posting like Kobe Bryant,
Yeah.
flying to see the pilot.
Yeah.
Hit the hezzy, we got Jesse, opinions get kinda messy. A fan of out of lefties, from football to racing jackies. He go silly when he go deep, sheesh, is Zach Zeman. Teaming up with Jack, we stack the whole team, man. Pass the rock, don't stop the shot clock.
Woo.
Smack the slap shot, come on, now let's talk. Pass the, yo, partner, pass the rock. For real.
All right, guys, coming down to the end, Game 5 tonight. A lot of people think it's going to be over. I know, Zach, you're really, really interested in your Game 6, your 6-game prediction coming true. Is there a chance?
Never say never. We've seen some improbable upset wins in the finals. Never forget. We're going to be talking about it a lot today, but, LeBron James came back down 3-1. You never know. Anything can happen. Anything is possible, as Kevin Garnett once said.
Yeah, look, the Raptors have an NBA championship, so anything truly can happen. Jesse, does it get back to Miami?
Nah, I had Nuggets in 5 day one, and I'm sticking to it. They are bringing home the championship. You just love to see a team win on their home court. It's always the worst when it's Game 6, so Nuggets in 5, let's get it over with. I don't want to wait another 4 business days for Game 6.
Exactly. We don't want to have to sit around and, who knows how long that break will be, but all right, highlights from the weekend. We had an NBA. I don't understand why we had an NBA Finals game Friday and then not Sunday or whatever. I know they had to travel.
Not Saturday, not Sunday, but Monday night is when we're having this finals.
Yeah, Friday and then Monday.
Great job, NBA.
Going to you, Zach. Any winners from the weekend you saw?
Oh, any winners from the weekend? I'm not sure. It's pretty tough. I had a pretty busy weekend. I wasn't able to watch a lot of stuff, but just talking in sports in general, one team's really caught my eye. They've become really hot, 40-25 in MLB. The Diamondbacks are on a roll, and I think they're dangerous. I think they're going to be able to keep up this winning. I think they're a playoff team. They could very well take the division if things keep going their way. So that's a team that really has piqued my interest. And I did notice that those stats come out over the weekend. So, maybe not NBA related, but that's one team that's caught my eye.
Oh, it doesn't have to be NBA related. Jesse, from the North, maybe he goes with the Vegas Golden Knights. Who's your winner from the weekend?
My winner is the Across the Spider-Verse movie, because I saw that.
Yeah, I did too.
There was no sports on, so I just decided, you know what, go to the Spider-Verse movie, and it was great. So
I saw it too.
Anybody who wants to go see it, go see it. And Vegas Golden Knights, they're good too, but who really cares? It's an expansion team that has no real fans. So go Vegas, I guess. But nobody really gives a crap about the Golden Knights, it seems.
Oh, man. I also saw Spider-Verse. First one was better.
Interesting. Okay, so here's the deal. Lil Podna wants me to take him to see it at the theater. He's actually already seen the second one, but wants to go back. So I had to watch the first one. I started watching it last night, about halfway through, because I got started late because I was watching LSU win their Super Regional. So interesting you say that, Zach. That is not the common opinion, at least from the 14-year-olds that hang around my house.
Did not say the movie was bad. I still really like the movie. Just think the first one was better. Jesse,
you want to weigh in here?
I thought the second one was great, and it's definitely got me on my toes for the third one. So I think it was phenomenal. I don't know how it can rank them yet.
As an outlier who hates most of what Marvel doesn't really care for most of what Marvel puts out and likes the Christopher Nolan Batman movies, I was pretty impressed through the first hour of the first one. The graphics, just the whole feel of it didn't feel cartoonish. So excited to see the rest of it and maybe see the second one. Next question, we're starting with you, Jesse. Has anyone had a better finals performance than Jokic this year?
Boy, you're asking the guy from Toronto if there's been a better individual finals performance. and as much as I'd love to say yes, from Kawhi Leonard wasn't doing the things that Nikola Jokic was doing. I mean, yes, he was phenomenal, great two-way player, great scorer, but I mean, Nikola Jokic might be the first guy to average a triple-double in the NBA Finals this season, and doing it with also over 25 points a game, almost 30, is just flat out ridiculous. So I'm going to say no. I in my lifetime, aside from maybe the LeBron 2016 run, although you could argue he was more dominant in 2018, but 2016 was just, the run that they actually won the title. So I think this very well might be the best individual performance in a finals that's ever occurred in my lifetime. And that's only going back to 2000 for anybody who's watching.
Holy moly. All right. Zach, your thoughts here. Have you ever seen anything in your lifetime, which probably goes back to what?
2003. So
2003.
yeah, I know.
But
But
she's older than that.
definitely not in my lifetime. And again, as Jesse was saying, the only comparison would maybe be 2016 LeBron, but that's more about what happened rather than the numbers on the stat sheet. If we're talking pure stats, no player has ever averaged a triple-double in the NBA Finals, and we very well could be seeing that, happen tonight if the Nuggets do end it in 5. Only other player I can think of, not in my lifetime, but that can compare would be this would be in Jesse's lifetime. Shaq's 3-peat Finals MVP runs were all extremely dominant. I mean, looking at the stat sheets, he was averaging 21, 29, 28 points a game and over 11 rebounds for all of those. I mean, that's very impressive to have 3 Finals MVPs in a row and average those stats every single year. But at the end of the day, Jokic just does more, especially on the offensive end with his assist numbers. So it's hard to argue against it. I don't think we've seen anything better ever in the finals.
I think
it's hard to. Oh, go ahead.
I just wanted to point out something that's crazy about Jokic is averaging a triple-double as well as 25, almost 30 points a game. The Nuggets have not scored more than 110 points in any game in the NBA Finals. Like 25-point triple-double, and they're scoring 104, 108. Like they're not running up 120, 130 points. He's doing this in a low-scoring series. It's my.
I'd also like to see how many triple-doubles he has in this year's finals by halftime, because he's usually pretty close.
Oh my God.
He's usually got 7, 8 assists, although he had the 2 games with less. And obviously his rebounds and points are already there. If you look just at the stats, it's hard to say there was a better performance ever. I think what he does is give you assists from a position that normally doesn't. So it's not like all these other centers from the past would have that stat, but you also have a lot of guards or forwards that are super impactful in what's going on, and they're not going to have the rebounding or other. So I'm always going to lean to Michael Jordan 91, but I don't think I can say it after this year that's the number 1 performance ever. It's just, this dude's amazing.
In like a single game, I'll say the Giannis 50-point Game 6 closeout was pretty impressive. But and that was like he hit 17 out of his 18 free throws in that game when he had struggled all season long. And Jokic hasn't really had that type of game this series. I mean, he's had the 30-20-10 game, which was ridiculous. But his teammate also had a 30-point triple-double in that game that nobody's going to give a crap about after it's all said and done. Yeah. But, I mean, Jamal Murray's had a phenomenal finals run, too. Like, 10 assists in every single game of the finals, which is unheard of as well. So,
so if that's true, so if they each are averaging 10-ish assists, or I think Jokic is 9.8 or something like that, with a lower scoring, 110 points a game, what percentage of the baskets are being assisted by either of those guys?
I think it's just them to each other. It's just got to be him to back each other.
If we're going, if we're talking about individual games, individual performances, when it comes to just sheer dominance taking over a game, never forget. I mean, we talked about 2016 LeBron James in Game 7. Him and Kyrie Irving combined for 82 points.
That was Game 5, actually, but yeah,
that stat alone, I'll never forget that 2016 series. I'll never forget where I was when I watched that Game 7.
It was Game 5 when they dropped 41 each.
Still, it was just absolutely ridiculous watching that series.
He didn't say he'd never forget the game. He said he'd never forget where he was.
I'd never forget watching that series. But just to have 41 points for 2 teammates in the same game is absolutely ridiculous.
And they needed him.
And they needed every single one.
All 82.
Oh, God.
Okay, so back to you, Zach. If Jimmy somehow gets this Heat team to a championship, he'd be the first 8 seed ever to win. Would that be more impressive than what LeBron did in 2016?
So
the Warriors, who were the best regular season team ever.
So we're basically comparing, LeBron, the greatest player of all time, with a little bit of help in Kyrie Irving, coming back against arguably the most dominant regular season team of all time, to Jimmy Butler with basically a bunch of, mid-tier role players. Let's be honest. There's Bam, and then there's like, really who else? I mean, this series has not been going well for the Heat anyways. Them coming back against the most dominant team in the regular season, the most dominant team in the playoffs, and against the 2-time MVP, should be 1-time final MVP after tonight, probably the best player of basketball in the world right now, Nikola Jokic. I think it'd be a bigger feat if the Heat came back than what the Cavs did. Absolutely no one thinks they can do it. They don't have a LeBron James on this team, because when you have a LeBron James on a team, you're like, oh, well, there's always a chance LeBron could come back from this. And we know for sure that there's always a chance. We know there's always a chance. But if Jimmy was able to lead the Heat back to a finals victory, that would be the most impressive comeback I've ever seen. And it would probably guarantee Jimmy being in the Hall of Fame, because I saw there was like a debate on if his resume was enough right now. I saw that earlier going around, and it's like, with his resume right now, is Jimmy Butler Hall of Fame worthy or Hall of Very Good worthy? If he somehow made this comeback, it'd be an absolute lock for the Hall of Fame. There'd be no questions asked.
It might already be a lock after what he's done this season. Jesse, you disagree?
It depends on how you think of it. I do think he'll end up in the Hall of Fame, but some people were like, no, he doesn't have this stat. No, he doesn't have that stat. It's like kind of reaching at straws, but okay, I get there's a sentiment that he might not be Hall of Fame worthy. But, if he somehow made this comeback with pretty much no major help, I mean, he doesn't have a Kyrie Irving by his side like LeBron did. So I would consider an 8-seeded Heat comeback against the Nuggets more impressive than LeBron's 3-1 comeback.
Okay. Jesse, you disagree?
I disagree, because the only reason that we know a 3-1 comeback is even possible is because of LeBron. And people didn't think that he could, no one thought that they could do it then, because no one had ever done it then. And to me, I think, yes, it would be really impressive considering Jimmy isn't LeBron and they don't have a great supporting cast. I mean, they have Kevin Love, but he's, 6 years removed from being good. And I just think the Warriors lost 9 games in the entire 82-game season. To lose 3 in a row and 4 in that series alone to the Cavs, to me, is the greatest feat that has ever occurred on a basketball court. To beat a team that has only lost 9 times, 3 times in a row on the brink of elimination, to what's, the winningest team in regular season history, I just think is more impressive. And Denver lost 29 games this season. They were good, and yes, they kind of took their foot off the gas a bit, but a team that loses 30 games in a season is beatable 3 times in a row. So
yeah, I mean, they lost 31%. The Warriors lost 31% of the games they lost that year in the finals.
Yeah, they lost. They lost I think they lost 7 or 8 games in the playoffs that year, and 9 in the regular season, which is
wild stuff.
No, it's amazing. I mean, the real question is Kevin Love really the catalyst behind both these teams? The Heat and the
Maybe.
Cavs.
I mean, every time Kevin Love's made it to the playoffs, this team's
and look,
finals.
As great as Golden State was that year, they're only the second best team ever. I mean, you got to finish the deed.
Yeah.
The New England Patriots
regular season team of all time.
There you go. Yeah. There you go. All right, let's. Jesse's got a little. Let's dive into the NBA Finals lore. Jesse's got some champions, and he wants us to rank them top to bottom.
All right, I want you to rank these NBA Finals in order, 1 to 5. We've got the 2023 Denver Nuggets, assuming they win tonight. We've got the 2019 Toronto Raptors, the 2014 San Antonio Spurs, the 2011 Mavericks, and the 2004 Bad Boy Pistons. Rank them 1 to 5.
That's not the Bad Boy Pistons. The Bad Boy Pistons are in the late 80s.
Yeah.
Well,
those boys were bad.
They were pretty bad, I would argue.
So
Ben Wallace, you don't think Ben Wallace was bad?
In terms of how impressive these runs were?
Either I'd say in terms of how impressive the run was, or just what you thought was the best finals.
Oh, well, I feel like I want to rank these in terms of how impressive each of them.
All right, so we'll say rank these 1 to 5 based on how impressive of a finals run they were.
All right, so So starting at the bottom, there's two real contenders here for me. It's got to be either the 2014 Spurs or the 2023 Nuggets. First of all, 2014 Spurs, they might have been older, but they had one of the most dominant cores of all time. You still have Tim Duncan. You still have, all those great pieces from the Spurs dynasty. Meanwhile, 2023 Denver Nuggets, pretty much the best team in basketball, undeniably having the best player in the game right now in Nikola Jokic. I'm going to say that the Spurs run was less impressive, though. They're going to be my number 5, mainly because they'd already won before. It was still the Spurs dynasty that has been going on for, at this point, I think 15 years, and it would still be pretty good for a few years after this. So the Spurs are the least impressive.
And they might win next year, let's be real.
Yeah,
I agree. Just really quickly, let's go step by step. I agree with you. 2014 Spurs are in 5th, mainly because I had to look that team up and remember why they were even special.
Yeah.
So compared to the other 4, I'm going to put them 5th. Go on.
Next, I'm going with the 2023 Denver Nuggets at 4, mainly because the big thing helping them is that this is potentially the franchise's first ring. Other than that, they were the most dominant team in basketball for most of the year. They have the best player in the world. Their playoff run has not really been that memorable either. They've just kind of squashed most teams. Oh, great, you stopped LeBron James, on the way. Well, at the same time, not his strongest performance. He's older. It's not like an incredible feat that you beat LeBron James in the West. It's like, all right, that's cool. And they're completely squashing an 8-seed team. And I think, despite the fact that they're going to win a ring, despite how dominant it was, there's always going to be a small tidbit being like, oh, yeah, well, they beat an 8-seed here. They beat an 8-seed for the finals. So 2023.
And they beat a 7-seed in the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah. So you can put a couple little tidbits on this run and be like, oh, well, they didn't have it as hard as they could have, but it's been a weird season anyways. So, but at number 4, I'm putting this year's Nuggets.
I agree that number 4 is the Nuggets. I hate saying that because I do think that Jokic's run has been super impressive. And like we said, maybe the best performance in the finals ever. But when you look at these other teams and I think about ranking a run, it's like, what was this a team I believed had a chance to do it? And the other 3 left, I definitely was not saying, oh, I think this team can do it. Doesn't mean that they couldn't have done it, but just I wasn't feeling great about their chances. So keep going. You're right so far. Keep going.
Yeah. So these next 3, I feel like you can make a case for any of these being the most impressive. But for me, at number 3, I'm going to go with the 2019 Toronto Raptors as being – I'm going with the Raptors here. I'm sorry, you can leave, but
no, it's fine. You're entitled to that opinion.
But I feel pretty confident because I feel like out of these 3 teams, they had the most complete roster. Even the year before, they had a pretty complete roster. They just swapped DeMar DeRozan for Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi was the piece.
Oh yeah, just swapped DeMar for Kawhi. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not the biggest upgrade in team history.
Still. You sacrificed the heart and soul of your team for a championship, and it worked. It paid off. It definitely was the right move. But, that roster was a more complete team than I'd say either of our other 2 ones left on this list. And, having Kawhi lead you guys was, absolutely what Toronto needed for that championship. But, once Kawhi came to the East, everyone was like, okay, Toronto Raptors, they're on notice. They could make a run here. And they did. They made it all the way, and they won Larry O'Brien.
And thank God that was LeBron's year off. That was the only time the Raptors were getting anywhere near the NBA championship.
Zach, as much as that Raptors run was unbelievable, especially if you ask anyone in Ontario, I also think that it's 3rd on this list because these last 2 teams had no shot in my opinion. And I can't wait to talk about them, but I will say that Toronto Raptor run was unbelievable. It was marked by a few very specific games that they overcame, a late deficit or whatever to get the victory. And I love seeing it. And I love seeing Jurassic Park and all that go crazy, even from down here. But it's the 3rd best on this list.
Just got to say, if that ball bounced a certain different way, the Sixers have a championship. No question in my mind. But, didn't happen. Painful.
And if the Raptors
Yeah.
don't do it, then maybe KD's still on the Warriors and they have 8 championships now.
Yeah, fair. Well, if that was the case, we wouldn't be talking about basketball now, would we?
No.
At number 2, out of these two teams, it's a really simple decision for me. One team had a superstar, the other had no star whatsoever. So at number 2, I'm putting the 2011 Dallas Mavericks. You knew Dirk was eventually going to make a run. You knew he was eventually going to have the chance, and he got it with the Mavericks, and upsetting the Miami Heat, who at the time were such big favorites, with the brand new big three, to have Dirk and company be able to get to the NBA Finals and completely upset them for the Larry O'Brien, definitely number 2 on this list.
I hate that we agree, but I'm about to read for you the 03-04 Pistons roster.
Yeah.
And you're going to agree.
Jesse, there's a reason.
And they beat Kobe.
This list originally only had the previous 4 teams, but I was like, where are the 2004 Detroit Pistons on this list? They need to be in this conversation. There's no way they can't be. That's why there's a reason why they're the most impressive run. You can't just have no star whatsoever, beat Kobe and Shaq, prime Shaq, and not be like in this discussion.
Not only beat them, but I think it was, they beat them 4-1.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Okay. This was
Chauncey
an annihilation.
won a Finals MVP. That alone should speak volumes about this.
Hey, Richard Hamilton was that guy. Don't forget.
Listen to this too. So in the finals, they allowed 75 points, 99 points, 68 points, 80 and 87 to the Lakers.
That is
68 points. It's like an unbelievable.
There were games that they won in that playoff run, like 67-64. Like,
look, I mean, I know it was like a different time, a lot more grit and grind, but scoring less than 70 points in an NBA game is like incomprehensible.
It's insane. Kobe and Shaq.
This is Kobe and Shaq. Kobe wasn't like some young guy who was like the secondary, on the bench, whatever. No, this is like Kobe starting to hit his stride. This is Kobe in a prominent role. And they lost 4-1 to a team of just pretty good players, no superstars on this team.
Let me just tell you, the Detroit Pistons set some. I'm looking at their wiki page. They set some absurd defensive records. They held the team to under 60 points in the playoffs. The New Jersey Nets scored 56 on them. Their opponents in the entire playoff series averaged 78 points a game in the entire playoffs. And they held teams to under 70 points 6 times.
Yeah, no,
that's people have that at halftime nowadays.
Yeah. So it's Chauncey Billups, Eldon Campbell, Tremaine Folks, don't remember him, Darvin Ham, which is interesting, Richard Hamilton, RIP, Lindsey Hunter, Mike James, everybody's MVP, Darko Milicic.
Yes, sir.
Mehmet Okur, Tayshaun Prince, Ben Wallace, Rasheed Wallace, the Wallace brothers, and Corliss Williamson. That is an unbelievable.
Hey, the starting five of Chauncey, Rip, Tayshaun Prince, Wallace is a very scary defensive starting five.
It is.
It's insane.
They were intense. I never thought they had a chance. I didn't want to root for the Pistons because I was such a Bulls fan growing up, but I just hated the Lakers too much. I had to root for the Pistons. Sorry, Jack. And that was just as ugly as basketball could be, beauty, just every night.
Yeah. I mean,
absolutely. And Zach, don't even remember it.
Nope. I was 1 year old at the time. But I've heard the tales. I've heard the tall tales of the 2004 Detroit Pistons, and I know for a fact that they had the most impressive NBA Finals run.
Oh, my God. Awesome. Awesome. Great question, Jesse. You got another one.
All right. So we're going to draft a starting five of Finals MVPs. So I guess we'll go me, Brian, Zach, Brian, me. We'll do a little snake order. Got to draft a starting five. We will be a little bit flexible with the positions, but for the most part, try to choose a player that actually fits their position that they're at. Remember who you take in the starting five. So let's go. Let's draft a starting five of finals MVPs. I will go first because I made this game.
Irony.
So I feel like it is just, I got to do it. One of the most finals MVPs of all time. Give me Sir Michael Jeffrey Jordan at the 2.
Damn it. I thought for sure you were going to take your Raptors choice there. So.
I'm not. I'm delusional. I'm not stupid. Okay.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Great pick. Great pick. I think that you did that just to force me into something that I wouldn't want to do. So I'm going to let you win that, and I'm going to take LeBron James.
Where are you putting him?
I am going to put him at the small forward position.
All right.
Okay. So we got LeBron and Jordan off the board. Definitely the two hardest hitting guys on this board. But, with my first pick, got to go with a back-to-back-to-back finals MVP in Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah.
When he was at his best, the most dominant center ever.
I don't know how I thought that Shaq might fall back to me.
No,
but he was definitely the guy I was going to take.
No clue how you did. Now, the second pick is a little more interesting. There's a lot of interesting choices I could make, but for my money, I'm going to go with his co-star. I'm going to go with Kobe Bryant, the 2-time finals MVP.
Yeah, not bad. Shaq and Kobe.
and yes, Kobe's at the 2.
All right.
Not a terrible way to get that going. Okay, so if I'm going to try to compete with O'Neal, all right, in the paint, I can't draft somebody like Giannis because he's not going to be able to stand up to that old school action. I think I'm going to have to go Kareem. Give me Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I don't think he's not going to be much in the paint when it comes to when Shaq decides to just, muscle it in down there. But Shaq's not nearly quick enough to stay with him. I cannot believe I have 2 Lakers, by the way. I mean, one of them that.
All right. So that leaves me in an interesting position here. But since you guys both took a center, I feel like I can wait on that for a second. So I'm going to fill out the 1 spot, and I'm going to go Steph Curry. Going to go a little modern day action. So give me Steph Curry at the 1. And
really quickly before you move on, I can't wait for Jordan to side eye Steph Curry when he's shooting from the coach.
When he's shooting the 3. All right, and so he's my number 1, and then this is tough. At the 3, give me Kevin Durant.
Ooh.
I would take Kawhi, but it's Kevin Durant. I mean, it's Kevin Durant. So give me KD back-to-back Finals MVP, and he's at my 3. I'm feeling good about this team.
Fair enough.
All right, back to me. And I'm going to do something a little unorthodox. I'm going to slide LeBron down to the 4. All right? Because I just saw somebody at the 3 that I really like, and it's going to complement what I already have with Kareem and LeBron, and that is my man, Larry Bird from the Celtics in the 80s. Give me Larry Bird at the 3. Just number 1, yes, of course, he can shoot and whatever, but we just need somebody to combat LeBron, to be with LeBron and just being as competitive as we can be. And give me Larry Bird.
Oh. Man, I'm already looking. There's not too many guards on here in general. It's really hard to,
You want to take another Laker? Want to take another Laker?
I might have to take another Laker. Man, I mean, I got 2 picks here. I can play around a little bit. Just trying to think exactly what I want to do.
Just to be clear before you pick, 13 of the awards have gone to Lakers.
Yeah. It's
so not 13 different Lakers.
Team of entirely Lakers. I could literally pick that and be a good team. But you know what? He played a lot of point guard. You really can't go wrong with this pick. Give me Magic Johnson at the 1.
Love it. And you got one more.
Magic and Bird for me, for sure.
Yeah, no, and you can't go wrong with either. So I have small forward and power forward left. Ooh, okay. Or I could move Kobe to the 3. But you know what? For right now, I'm going to put Tim Duncan as my power forward.
Very respectable. Big fundamental.
Big fundamental. Can't go wrong with him.
Okay.
Very dominant front court for me.
I need not only one guard, but two guards. So that's going to be tough as I'm looking at this list. You know what, though? I like this pick because I'm just drafting a bunch of people that just want to win at all costs, that they'll pinch you, they'll elbow you, they'll do whatever they have to do to win. So give me Isaiah Thomas, the real bad boy Pistons. He's going to take the ball up. And I feel good about this team.
Well, I think my team's going to knock it out of the park because I got 2 picks here to round off this team. We've got Curry, Michael Jordan, and KD. At the 4, give me Giannis. He's still on the board. Give me Giannis at the 4. And give me Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon at the 5. Mic drop. I feel like I got a complete squad. I needed some defense after my first few picks. We got all league defenders. We got all league scorers. I feel like we're pretty balanced. And everybody's in their true position.
Giannis is just going to get in the way. Hakeem needs space to work. All right. So I'm doing some more shuffling. I got Thomas at the 1. I'm moving LeBron to the 2.
Oh my God. What is this?
I got Bird at the 3.
You can't keep shuffling them around, man. Come on.
I can do whatever I want. It's all about in-game adjustments. I got Kareem, one of the greatest, probably the greatest center ever. I'm going to put him at the 4 because I got Wilt Chamberlain coming in.
Oh my God.
Another Laker.
The only way to combat Giannis and Hakeem is to grab 2 centers and throw them down low. So here we go.
Oh my God. All right. I'm looking up and down the list, and I think
Chauncey Billups is just sitting there.
Hey, there's a small forward who won Finals MVP with the Martians, with the death team pointed at planet Earth.
You don't think I thought of him? I definitely thought
the
of
only
Andre
Finals
Iguodala.
MVP to average 7 points a game in NBA history.
I think I have my starting 5 figured out. So give me Magic at the 1. Give me 2006 Dwayne Wade at the 2. Kobe Bryant at the 3. Tim Duncan at the 4. And Shaquille O'Neal at the 5. I like the chemistry. You got Wade and Bryant, who were teammates with Shaq. I know Bryant and O'Neal fought, but I'm gonna assume they're a bit more respectable to each other. That's why Dwayne Wade's there. So I'm pretty happy with how my starting 5 turned out.
Hey, Kawhi Leonard going undrafted. RIP, but had to happen to someone. Let us know who you think's got the best team in the comments. I'm feeling pretty good about my 5.
I definitely could have gone Kawhi instead of Wade, did a little more shuffling, but you know what? I've always liked D Wade, so I'm happy with it.
So let's step out of the NBA Finals and talk about teams that have underachieved, especially the last couple of years. They had one playoff series against the Suns where they put up a fight, but my Pelicans come out today and say, well, the stories from Shams say that they're interested in moving up to 2 or 3. It'll have to be 2, in my opinion, to get Scoot Henderson. What do they have to give up to move that far, and would you do it is the question. So I pose it to both of you, Jesse first, and then I'll tell you the right answer.
Well, the Pelicans' biggest need is absolutely point guard. And unlike, the Hornets, it kind of fits their team a little better. They kind of have everything else. They have very solid wings and forwards, and Brandon Ingram can play the 2, or CJ McCollum can slide down to the 2, ideally, which is his natural spot. Yep. And I don't know, though. I think that number 2, I think they're going to need the number 2 pick. I don't know if Portland's number 3 is going to be enough to fully go all in on that, on something that you don't know is for sure yours, because we know Wembanyama's 1, but you never know, because Charlotte might just take the best available in Scoot, or they go with the 6'9" Brandon Miller. But I think if you're going to make this trade, you want to have all of the control. And that's why, like the Carolina Panthers moved all the way up to 1 so that they could control their own destiny. At this point, the number 2 pick is the number 1 pick in this draft because it's Wembanyama and then everyone else. So it looks like you're going to have to give up. You're going to have to give up either, to me, it's either Zion or Ingram, or it's like a lot of the young key guys and a lot of picks. And if I'm the Pelicans, I'd rather hold on to like Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, a lot of those guys who are younger and developing. And I love Brandon Ingram, and if I had to choose between him and Zion, I would keep Brandon Ingram because he's shown that he can stay on the court more. And I mean, with the latest Twitter news around Zion Williamson, maybe he's looking for a new home. So it's going to be a lot to give up, and it might be worth it because at least if you can get a guy who's wanting to play, then can't go much wrong. But I think it's going to be a lot to mortgage their future, and they have a lot of really good young pieces right now. And I would say move on from the older ones before you move on from the younger pieces. Don't make the same mistake the Lakers made.
Yeah.
All right, Zach, any differences to that plan?
Honestly, it's pretty tough to have any differences. I mean, you're talking about, besides Victor, you're talking about, a top 3 prospect, a guy who a lot of scouts seem to be very confident in as a point guard. And when you look at this Pelicans roster, you have 3 guys who are making near max money, if not max money. You have Zion, BI, and CJ McCollum. And let's be honest, CJ is not going to get a lot of trade interest. You're not going to be able to trade CJ and picks for the number. I'm more about the 3 pick. I think it's more likely that it's a 3 pick than the 2 pick because there were rumors about Charlotte being very high on Brandon Miller, which makes a lot of sense. But I mean, honestly, if Zion's traded to Portland for the 3rd overall pick, that could be a win-win trade. I mean, both teams get what they need. Dame finally gets a true co-star when he's healthy and on the court. That's a true co-star for Damian Lillard. And the Pelicans get the guy that they want at 3, Scoot Henderson. I do think that, even if they don't get Scoot Henderson, you get Brandon Miller. That's still a really good pick right there anyways. So I think the only way you get it done is if you trade Zion or Brandon Ingram. But maybe because of all the woes that he's been giving New Orleans, maybe Zion's on his way out. It could be more likely that he's on his way out because Ingram's finally shown a lot of really good flashes of what he can truly do on the court. So would be really interesting to see. You got Scoot Henderson, CJ McCollum, and Brandon Ingram leading the charge of the Pelicans. That sounds really fun.
Let's not forget also the Pelicans had a lot of practice without Brandon Ingram last year too.
Yeah.
So if they were to move on from Brandon Ingram, they've got plenty of guys who can play the 3 and kind of slide into that role.
Although I do have to say, lest I forget, you're giving up one of your young guys, whether it's Alvarado or Jones. You're giving up at least one young guy in this package to get a prospect like Scoot. You have to say goodbye to 1, maybe even 2 of them, depending on how the trade package works out.
I think it's going to have to be either Herb Jones or Trey Murphy. And I hate to say it because I love me some Herb, but I think he's the answer to send out because Trey Murphy's just too lethal. And it's just getting better on defense every single year. So I think this is what happens. I think there's no way for them to move up to from 14 to 2 or 3 without either Zion or BI. I think BI is too much the leader of this team, and Zion is too much of a distraction, either with not playing or with whatever is going on in the Twitterverse with his dating life. So I think it ends up being Zion and Herb and the 14 for the 2. Because I don't think they move up if they don't get Scoot, and I don't think the Hornets can afford to take Brandon Miller at 2 when there's going to be so many offers to come up to get Scoot. So I think what they end up getting is the number 2 pick and like Gordon Hayward, like a throw-in player that can give you solid minutes off the bench, a little bit of depth, and
maybe you get Cody Martin.
Maybe maybe even an extra first-round pick from either the Lakers or the Bucks over the last couple of years that they, have a whole treasure chest full of.
God, could you imagine LaMelo Ball and Zion on the same team?
Oh my God.
Also, that would actually be a perfect fit because everybody in Charlotte is just way too athletic. Like, give them Zion Williamson and what's the dude's name? Eric, who calls the games. He might actually have a heart attack if they get Zion.
Yeah, I mean, let's be real. That also involves LaMelo and Zion both being on the court at the same time,
which might only overlap for like 6 games.
Although to be fair, Michael Jordan's always looked for that generational prospect to lead the Hornets. I mean, he thought he had it in Anthony Davis before the then Bobcats just did not win the NBA lottery. So you get a guy like Zion, maybe that's finally the guy that MJ's been looking for to lead that team. But who knows? I don't think Zion's even a leader. He's not a leader of New Orleans. So
Yeah, well, you got to be on the court. I mean, it's just
Yeah, that alone, he's
line.
not on the court. I mean, this is similar to Ben Simmons not being on the court. He was never on the court for the longest time. So
Right. Yeah. Look, in the end, not a leader on the court, maybe in the bedroom, but let's move on. The Heat, their mascot gets sent to the ER after being KO'd by Conor McGregor. Was that real or was that fake, Zach?
you know what? I want to believe it's real to me. Damn it, it's real to me because it's just this season has been so ridiculous. This has been one of the most ridiculous NBA seasons ever. There was just a story left and right. Here's one on the top of my head. Patrick Beverley celebrating D'Angelo Russell reuniting with him in LA. And then the next day, Patrick Beverley gets traded. There's
too
dozens
many
of these kinds of stories that you can pull out. What else?
Ja Morant.
Ja Morant's entire season. Doc Rivers' Twitter account found being liking some
my God.
suspect videos early in the season. LeBron James having a full-blown meltdown
Celtics
against
coach.
the Celtics.
Udoka just gone because of
Ime Udoka gone because of whatever reasons you want to call that. This NBA season has had some of the most ridiculous storylines I've ever witnessed as a fan. It has been nothing but pure entertainment. So absolutely, this definitely happened to the Heat mascot. If this is a real storyline. We even mentioned Zion with everything that's going on with him being a master in the bedroom. Like there is no way that this Heat mascot story isn't true because of everything else, because of all the ridiculousness that's been going on in this NBA season. Absolutely, the Heat mascot got injured. Absolutely, Conor McGregor doesn't know how to pull his punches. And thank goodness that he is nice and healthy, that Heat mascot, and he'll be back on the court for next season, not Game 6. It's not happening, but this has been the most entertaining NBA season in a long time, I feel like.
Yeah, it's funny that was Conor McGregor's first fight since breaking his leg 2 years ago.
Because of course it was. Of course it was.
And they said that he was ready to go if they needed him, and the Heat mascot is back before Tyler Hero. So take notes.
I'm sure we can go on and just list off ridiculous stories that have happened this year. I mean, here's another one. The freaking Rudy Gobert trade and how bad that's turned out to be. That's another crazy story.
You want to just have the funniest
Lonzo
moment?
Ball may never play basketball again. And we haven't talked about that at all. He may never play basketball again. And that's just another crazy storyline.
If you want the funniest moment from this season, just watch Rudy Gobert in the low post. He's got absolutely nothing. Speaking of Rudy Gobert, he's involved in some of these, even though we're not really speaking about him. But we're doing some NBA stat trivia. We're going to go through some stats for the season leaders in 2023. I'm going to tell you a category and then give you the top three or three of the top guys in that category. And then you'll each get a guess. And by the end of it, whoever has more right wins. So we'll see. I do have a tiebreaker in case you guys tie. So we'll start with our first question. Who led the NBA in field goal percentage this year? Was it A, Nick Claxton, B, Rudy Gobert, or C, Clint Capella? I'll give it to you, Zach.
Man, I have not heard a lick about Clint Capella this season. I haven't heard nothing about him. And Rudy Gobert.
Usually fantasy god Clint Capella, by the way.
Usually, I guess. I don't play fantasy basketball. But you know what? I'm going to go with Nick Claxton. He impressed me a lot this season, so that's going to be my guess.
Brian?
Can we guess the same guess? Because I absolutely think it's Nick Claxton.
It is Nick Claxton. You are both correct. That's one each. So we'll say you can both guess the same guy. So I just want to go to Brian first. Who led the league in steals this season? Is it A, Fred VanVleet? Is it B, Jimmy Buckets? Is it C, OG Anunoby?
If Jimmy Buckets could have added the Celtics series to his numbers, he might have been number one. I know this one because I was watching as Herb Jones was slowly getting out of this race of most steals. I think it's Anunoby.
You know what? I'm going to ride with the statistician here. I'll go with OG as well.
Okay, so maybe we should say you can't choose the same one. Because it is 2-2. That's correct. OG did lead the league in steals. Fred was second. So shout out to the Raptors up there.
Yeah, because
All
we
right.
just have to name them.
Yeah. Third question. Who led the league in free throw attempts? Was it A, Joel Embiid? Was it B, Giannis? Or was it C, Luka?
All right, I guess I'm going first on this one. You know what? I feel like the narrative is that this would be Joel Embiid, but I'm going to guess Giannis on this one. Bail out my boy. So give me Giannis.
Are we saying we can't guess the same one? Because NBA games are at least 10 minutes longer because of Giannis shooting free throws.
If you guys just guess the same one for every single one, we might have a tie game.
Yeah, that's true. I'm guessing Giannis too. That's who was in my head. If we could have secret buzzers, that's who I would have picked.
Well, it is correct. It is Giannis with
To be fair, I didn't want to say it, but I knew that one. I knew it was Giannis.
Yeah. It's a slim lead. Oh, I think he's 11 free throw attempts a game, and Joel's like 10 and a half. So yes, we're both correct. It was Giannis. On to our next question. Somebody's going to have to choose different at some point, but I do have a tiebreaker in case. So who led the league in minutes played? Jason Tatum, James Harden, or Pascal Siakam?
Ooh.
All right, I'm up first. I want to say I think I'm going to go Siakam just because I think the other two missed enough games.
This is average minutes played, not total minutes.
Oh, not total.
Yeah, sorry. So I guess
that's
I'd say who led the league in minutes per game?
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that's a totally different strategy. But just to please our fans in Toronto, I'll still say Pascal Siakam.
You know, we're finally going to have a difference of opinion here. This one's definitely tougher. I mean, it's kind of just who do you think was on the floor the most for this team? And
that's exactly what the question is.
I know that the Celtics don't run a deep bench, so I'm going to go with Jason Tatum here.
They do not run a deep bench. All three of these players play 36 or 37 minutes a game. Pascal Siakam is the leader in minutes played, and you should know this because Nick Nurse is coming to run Joel Embiid into the ground 40 minutes a game. It's going to happen.
His poor knees. Knees are
we have our first lead. Brian is up 1. All right, we've got 2 questions here left, so got to make a run. Who led the league in 3-point attempts? A, Klay Thompson, B, Damian Lillard, or C, Donovan Mitchell?
Man, this is tough. You know what? Just because there's pretty much no one else there to help him be shooting the ball, I'm going to go with Damian Lillard on this one. I'm going to say Dame's been chucking that ball because there's no help around him anyways. So give me Dame for this.
Interesting question. I think I can't go Dame because he missed too many games at the end of the year. Although that makes me worried about. I was going to say Klay Thompson never passed up a ball.
These are all per game. So these are all per game stats.
Okay, then I was going to guess Donovan Mitchell, and last time that still worked for me when I stayed with it after the question changed. So I'm going to stick with Donovan Mitchell. See.
We're tied. It is Damian Lillard who led the league with over 11 3-point shots a game.
Dame, for the love of God, just leave. just get out of there.
I was shooting 11
I want to see you succeed. Please, for the love of God.
Klay and Donovan Mitchell were both right around 9 and 10. So very close. And kind of shocking that Klay was getting that many up, but I guess that's most of his shots. So we are tied.
Yeah,
you each have 4 correct. So our last question, and then we'll go to a tiebreaker if we need it. Who led the league in offensive rebounding? So offensive rebounds per game. A, Clint Capella. B, Rudy Gobert. Or C, Mitchell Robinson.
I think on this one, let's see. It should be Rudy, but he's just not the player that we want him to be. I'm going to guess Clint Capella. I know he didn't get a lot of pub this year. I know he didn't do a lot. My fantasy team was suffering, but I think he was quietly getting a lot of offensive rebounds. The Atlanta Hawks are not scared to shoot the ball, and they're not proficient at putting it in the basket. So give me Clint Capella.
Man. This one's definitely tough. This one's pretty tough. But of course, I'm not guessing Rudy Go Booty Cheeks. So it is between Clint and Mitchell Robinson for me. But you know what? Not going to play for a tie. Not going to go to a tiebreaker.
Thank you. I was about to say,
I'm going to guess Mitchell Robinson. I know he got a lot of minutes for the Knicks. Maybe that produced a lot of rebounds at the same time. So give me Mitchell Robinson.
I mean, you guys are slandering Rudy Gobert, even though he's
Go
in
bum.
the top.
Go bum.
Rudy Gobert is in the top 3 of all of the things that he's been mentioned on this so far.
I don't care. He sucks.
However, with an astounding 4.5 offensive rebounds per game, we've got none other than Mitchell Robinson of the New York Knicks, because nobody on the Knicks can shoot, and that is,
same theory I put out for Capella.
That's pretty funny.
So
good work.
Jack,
Way to not go for the tie, Zach.
Zach, you win. Mitchell Robinson, 4.5. The rest of them are around 4.
That's wild.
And I think we can do the tiebreaker just for fun, anyways. Jason Tatum scored over 2,000 points this season.
Oh my God.
I want you guys to guess how many points he scored, and whoever's closest wins.
All right. You know what? I'll take a crack at it. First number that popped in my head. I'm going to go 2,131 points for Jason Tatum this season.
21-31. I'm going to bet that he didn't get less than 21-31. And you were very eager to answer first. I'm going to go 21-32.
You're a dick. He had over 2,200 points. So, Brian, you win.
So my first guess was going to be 26 something. And I'm glad
I would have been closer.
That's a lot of points. Yeah, it is just over 2,200 points this season. Led the league in total points scored. So that's our question for today. I actually have one more little question, but you guys can work together on this if you'd like.
I like
so.
This
all right.
We're doing some old guy trivia. There are 6 players in the NBA over the age of 37. Can you name all of them?
I'm pretty sure I know 2 off the top of my head. So LeBron James, 38.
Yep.
And I believe PJ Tucker is over the age of 37.
PJ Tucker is on the list. So those are both correct.
Good.
I can add 2 just because these are people that might have been close to high school when I finished. And one had a birthday the other day that I happened to see.
Udonis Haslem. Yep.
Yeah.
Oldest player in finals history. That is one.
Yep. And then Andre Iguodala's got to be over that.
Andre Iguodala is on the list. So you guys have Haslem, Iggy, LeBron, and PJ Tucker.
Oh, and another guy in the news the other day has to be on it because the Hornets drafted him, and it's Chris Paul.
Chris Paul is on the list. He is our 5th guy.
All right.
Those were the 5 easier ones that I thought you would probably get. And we have one left. How the hell is this guy still in the league? Is basically the answer.
Here's my first guess. Is DeAndre Jordan over the age of 37?
He's not.
Ooh. Huh.
Does Melo count?
Well, Melo retired.
He's not in the league. Yeah, he retired. And he's not. This guy is on a roster. Like he is on a roster.
On an NBA roster? I can't
on
just
an NBA roster.
So I can't guess Mr. Taiwan himself.
No, it is not Mr. Taiwan himself. Although he definitely played against Mr. Taiwan quite a bit.
I'm trying to think like 03 draft, 04 draft.
There's no one left from the 03 draft, though.
I'll give you a hint. This guy was drafted after 2007.
Ooh.
So he was probably a 4-year senior in college, too. Or
That
something like something quirky.
Yeah.
What about the Lakers? They had to have some old guy on the end of the bench.
Oh wait, is Tristan Thompson old enough?
Not Tristan Thompson.
Oh, we almost talked our way into that one. That was good.
I thought that was a pretty good guess.
What college did he go to?
You want me to give you the college? He went to USC.
USC.
Trojans, baby.
The USC Trojans basketball.
He was one of the oldest freshmen in the country at 21.
Oh my, what?
And he played a few years and then 09 draft.
Wow. I have no idea. I couldn't even name a USC.
He was drafted by the Chicago Bulls. Nothing.
Now I'm
honestly like, how the hell is this guy still in the league? Is really my question.
All right.
Are you tapping out?
I think I'm tapping out. I mean, I don't know.
I can
how
tell
good
you.
this
I can tell
content
you
is.
what team he's on right now.
Sure.
Okay.
Who's the team?
He's currently a Washington Wizard.
Oof.
So it's
That's
not
rough.
Ish Smith.
It's not Ish Smith.
I don't know. Who is it? Jack is probably like yelling at the screen.
Yeah, he's probably freaking out right now.
You out, Zach?
Nah, I got nothing.
It is none other than Taj Gibson.
Oh my god, I forgot he was still in the league.
Somehow is still in the league.
How?
I don't know why the Wizards felt inclined to give him a contract this year, but he started 2 games. He played 49, averaged a cool 3 and 2.
Hey,
So
it's a living.
it's a living somehow. He's making millions of dollars still at age 37. So that is all 6
Amazing.
of those
That's
players.
just amazing.
Wild.
All right, well let's pivot from the NBA, talk a little NFL. You know, it's right around the corner. It's going to be here before you know it, Zach. So, as our NFC East correspondent, I have Saquon Barkley as a keeper in a league. I could always go with Aaron Jones, but I'm not. Should I be worried with him not going to OTAs or kind of talking contract? What should I feel about Saquon in 2023?
So I feel like right now with Saquon, right? I mean, he's in a really weird situation with his contract because the Giants decided we're going to stick with Daniel Jones instead of putting our future investment into a running back. And as we know, running back is a key position, but it's a very fragile and a very replaceable position. You know, these guys, you know, you can get quality running back play out of pretty much half the running backs in the NFL right now. And there's a lot more than you think there are. So Saquon, I feel like Saquon, he'll play in 2023. It's just kind of questionable if he's going to be a Giant or if he's going to be on a different team with a weird trade move that the Giants make to try to get some value for him. Saquon, when he's healthy, when he's at his best, we know he's one of the most dominant running backs in the NFL. I mean, no question in my mind, he's a top 5 NFL running back right now. But it's a really weird situation. You're gonna want to monitor it. You're gonna want to keep your eye on it, see what comes out of the Giants camp, see if anything's going with, you know, contract negotiations or anything. It's a weird situation, but I do feel like if the Giants lose Saquon Barkley, it's going to really hurt their stock for the season. I mean, because after that, you basically have Daniel Jones, and that is pretty much it. Darren Waller as well. I'll give credit there. Daniel Jones and Darren Waller. That is basically your receiving core right there. So you kind of need a running back to complement that. And I'm sure they can find a quality one, but not one as talented as Saquon. You're not going to have that workhorse that Saquon is. So,
and there's still a few names on free agency who are still like, if Kareem Hunt wants the deal, you know, bring him on down.
That's true. Kareem Hunt's still available. Zeke's still available. Dalvin Cook just became available, though it's going to be weird seeing where their value ends up because the value for a running back has gone down significantly over the years. It's becoming more valuable to be a wide receiver, a guard, a tight end, and especially, obviously, a quarterback. It's becoming a lot more valuable to be a different position than running back in the modern NFL. So I don't think any of these running backs are going to get what they're asking for when it comes to the money that they want. So it's going to be interesting to see where these guys end up, especially Dalvin Cook, a very, very good running back, probably also in that top 5 running back conversation.
Well, Brian, let me just say, I think Saquon, it would be his absolute worst decision to not play next year because Le'Veon Bell last week came out and said that he absolutely regrets sitting out. Yeah. And that single move destroyed his career because after that, he played for the Jets and then like 3 teams in 2 years. It was like the Chiefs, Bucks, and Ravens. Yeah. And now he's boxing Adrian Peterson and like he's probably going to fight Jake Paul like in some like lame ass gig. So like
Oh, God.
Le'Veon Bell was like top 3 running back in the NFL, decided he wanted to hold out, and then I don't know if he was just blacklisted from the league or just like kind of sucked. I mean, Melvin Gordon holding out got him nowhere either. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know who the model of holding out and
To be fair, Le'Veon pursued a very lucrative rapping career. So
yeah. So I mean,
Well, it's like, what kind of career
would
would you rather have? Would you rather have a Saquon Barkley or a Le'Veon Bell and have some really top years and then kind of fade quickly? Not saying Saquon's going to fade quickly, but if he would sit out, or like a Jamal Williams and just be the number 2 guy for like 12 years. Never really
Jamal Williams, because he's going to get more contracts. Like, easily.
No, it's unfair that they don't reward these running backs, or at least they want to avoid it. It's just such a replaceable position that they can afford to do it. But I do think all these running backs always get their as long as they're willing to play, they get that second deal. They're not necessarily getting a third deal. I think Saquon plays this year on whatever deal they have him. I don't know if they franchise him. I forget what the deal was. And then he goes somewhere next year, signs a huge contract for 3 years, voidable, probably for 5, voidable the last 2. And then he makes his money, plays somewhere else, and then he's done.
Yeah. It really is the most replaceable position in the league. Like, I think the Vikings getting rid of Dalvin Cook was like probably the best thing they could have done this offseason. Like, they have Madison, who's the best backup back in the league. And in the games that
he's getting old too, because he's been sitting behind Cook for 4 years.
Exactly. And like a guy like Madison, who's been waiting for his chance this whole time, he's going to get to shine next year, and maybe he balls out 1 year and then goes somewhere else and gets a contract.
Or the Vikings. Yeah, exactly. So, all right, best available free agents. Where are they going to go? Where is Dalvin Cook going to go, Jesse?
I have really no idea. At this point, it seems like it's down to a few options. I think the Miami Dolphins are been a front runner, or been rumored to be kind of attached to his name, but they've got a kind of an old, banged up running room of Jeff Wilson and Raheem Mostert, who neither of them has been able to start consistently for like 6 weeks straight. And I don't know. It's like, do you really want to pay Dalvin Cook a lot of money to bring him in when you just made Tyreek Hill the highest paid wide receiver in league history and got a lot of defensive guys you're going to have to pay as well? So I think the Dolphins are certainly an option. I just don't actually know if it makes the most sense. Kind of the exact opposite of what we were just saying, of like, these teams don't really need a phenomenal running back to compete. And I mean, Miami got it done last year with like a different running back almost every week. Like they were starting Salvin Ahmed and Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson and just kind of plugging them all in and out.
And random quarterbacks.
Yeah, and just whoever. I think they had another running back, someone else. Oh, don't they also have Chase Edmonds now? Like from Arizona? Like or maybe he's on the Broncos. I don't even know. It's too hard to keep up at this point. But I think the Dolphins seem like one of the best options. And then, I mean, elsewhere in the AFC, it's kind of hard to tell at this point.
Yeah, I don't know what team is giving him a multi-year deal. I think in the end, he's going to end up with a 1-year deal for somebody that's a good team that's like right on the cusp. Like, I mean, not even on the cusp. The Chiefs don't, their running back room is always a revolving door, which is probably why they're so successful.
It better not be the Chiefs. And there's one other team that I would really hate to see get Dalvin Cook, or really any half-decent running back. But it would make a lot of sense if the Cowboys wanted to get someone to complement Tony Pollard. I mean, it might not. I mean, Kareem Hunt makes a lot more sense.
You want to ditch a 28-year-old running back who's kind of out of his years for another 27-8-year-old running back in that same position, though? Or do you want to just really
honestly, it'd be a weird move that the Cowboys would make, though. And let's be frank, Dalvin Cook would be an upgrade from Ezekiel Elliott, just in general.
It's just kind of crazy because I'm kind of looking at the standings. Nobody in the AFC needs Dalvin Cook. Maybe the Bills. I think the Bills could be
the Ravens.
Like the Ravens, maybe, but they also have J.K. Dobbins, who's finally going to be healthy this year, hopefully, unless he hurts himself again. And I mean, I could see the Ravens working, but I mean, the Bengals are fine with Joe Mixon. Steelers got Najee. The Browns have Nick Chubb. The Jets have Breece Hall. Patriots. It's just not a thing that the Patriots would do to get Dalvin Cook. And
they just cut a running back today.
Yeah, they cut James Robinson. They waived James Robinson after signing a 2-year deal. The Dolphins and the Bills, I guess, are the only options really, because The Titans makes 0 sense. The Colts got Jonathan Taylor. Texans have Damian Pierce. Jaguars have Travis Etienne. Almost every team has somebody younger, better, or cheaper. And then,
I mean, when it comes to the NFC, I mean, there's a few teams I can think of. I mean, I already mentioned the Cowboys, but it'd still be a weird move for them. Cardinals, they pretty much don't have anyone anyways, so it's like,
nah, that would be weird.
I mean, Dalvin wouldn't want to go there, but like if it's the only team offering him anything, I mean,
don't really have much choice at that point.
He has no choice. And again, Kyler, once he's healthy, along with Dalvin Cook, could be interesting. And I know they just signed I think they just signed a running back, but the Bears, I mean, Justin Fields, Dalvin Cook, that could be really interesting as a combo.
Here's the team I'm worried about the most: the Panthers.
Ooh. Well. Here's the thing: they just signed Miles Sanders, so they have a running back,
and he's cheap. He's only like a few million.
Yeah,
that's not a running back.
They got him. Honestly, they got really good value as someone who watched Miles Sanders when he's healthy and running. Like he can be pretty solid.
That's like such an if.
He can be pretty good.
Dalvin Cook the same. He's a big if. Health wise,
it's crazy because he's arguably a top 10 running back in the NFL, and genuinely, I can't see a team on this list that it really makes much sense for him to go to. Like,
yeah, and he's not going to go. I don't think he's going to go to the Bucks or something.
No, like I'm like the Bucks or the Rams could use a running back, but they're not in any sense of contending really, unless Matt Stafford has like a super rejuvenation and comes back for the next year. And like you could look at, nobody in the NFC South really needs him. The Lions have too many running backs to count. The Commanders have too many running backs to count. And
what about the Seahawks?
They drafted Kenneth Walker. But
Kenneth Walker got hurt late in the season last year. Is he back?
But he's still cheap. He's back and he's still cheap. So why would you get?
He is back though. That's my question.
I'm pretty sure he's gonna be back. I'm pretty sure. But it just seems like just running backs in general, there's no team that needs a number one guy. They're going to have to sell to be a number two guy or play for a really bad franchise for the time being. So it's just, it's really problematic.
It's a rich get richer
situation. Hey, Howie, who's the running back one for the Eagles?
Swift. And then Rashad Penny.
Yeah, right. Oh my god,
dude, Howie's worked his magic. I mean, we're going to talk about DeAndre Hopkins, and we might be able to work out like just enough cap for him, but there's no way we do it. We don't need him. The Eagles are fine, dude. We don't need to do anything else. We're good.
Yeah, you know what? He should honestly go. To me, his best possible landing spot might be like the Chargers if they end up somehow getting rid of Austin Eckler. Or
but they worked it out and they worked it out in LA. So Eckler's staying. So
right, but maybe you get Dalvin Cook for more of the ground game, and Eckler can stay the receiving back. But do you really?
Not a bad idea, but.
Honestly, the Bills actually seems like it makes the most sense at this point because Devin Singletary is like worth replacing. And I mean, I know they drafted James Cook, but he didn't absolutely look great. No, and maybe you have the Cook brothers on the same team
in Buffalo.
Well, the only problem with the Eagles is only 3 teams in the history of the NFL have lost the Super Bowl one year and then won the Super Bowl the next. Only 3 teams ever.
Who are
the Patriots? One of them.
Patriots are one of them. 2017, the 1970 Cowboys, and the 1972 Dolphins.
Wow.
Like literally
luck is really on our side.
2 of those 3 were before I was born. So, no offense to the Eagles. It's not like I don't think they have a chance.
No,
but, it's hard to do that long run again.
Yeah, all I'm hoping for is sustained success. Just.
Oh my God, you're not an Eagles fan if that's all you hope for.
Oh Sorry. I want us to ring. I want us to win every ring for the next 5 years if we can, but we'll see.
Right. Cool. Okay, let's take a few of these extra and tell me where they go. We don't have to delve so deeply into the rest of these like we just did. Pick any of these: Hopkins, Ngakoue, Zeke Elliott, or Kareem Hunt.
I want to go with the biggest name right now with DeAndre Hopkins. I think we need to talk about him especially. Something came out today with him saying, "Hey, the Titans visit went well," which is really weird to me because he seems to have this weird infatuation with playing with bad franchises. So I guess the Titans are up there as one of his favorite spots. But I'm looking at some odds right now. So you got the Bears in the mix, another not great franchise. The Bills, the Cowboys, the Patriots, the Lions. Why would he go to the Lions? The Panthers to hook up with Bryce Young. That could be interesting. I don't hate that. And then, of course, you have the Chiefs and the Chargers still mentioned here. I really hope he doesn't go to the Chiefs. I don't want any notable free agents going to the Chiefs because we'll be stuck with the Chiefs winning every ring for the next 10 years under Mahomes. So out of all these teams, I would like to see a true number one wide receiver in Detroit. First real number one since Calvin Johnson. That would be really interesting.
He's not a number one. He's not a number one.
That's he's absolutely number one. Absolutely, he's a number one.
I think he's still a number one.
On what team? Not on the Lions.
Who's number one on the Lions?
Amon-Ra.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. Okay, so still number two.
I think if you look team by team, I think it's going to be tough for you to say he's a number one on more than 4 or 5 teams, and those teams are probably all terrible.
All right.
I think he has to realize that he's coming.
He'd absolutely be the number one on New England if you want.
He would be. He would be number one on New England.
Like I said, terrible.
He would be number one on Tennessee. He'd be 1 or 2 on Chicago. He'd be 1 on Carolina.
He's 2 on Chicago.
He'd be 1 on Carolina.
But I don't. Is that what he wants late in his career? He's tired of being terrible.
I think he wants to go to a good team that can contend.
If he is legitimately looking at the Tennessee Titans to play football there, he wants to be a 1.
That's your no. That's like your safe school. You know what I mean? Like he knows he can get into University of New Orleans, but he dreams of going to LSU. Okay, that's my Louisiana local.
That's your comparison.
Yeah. He's not going to Tennessee. He's just visiting Tennessee because they took him.
I think the Bears suggestion is actually great. I mean, I know that they're not going to be that good, but for the Bears to like go and get Justin Fields, DJ Moore, and DeAndre Hopkins, DeAndre Hopkins has the best hands in the NFL, like period. Get him a guy who can catch the ball.
I agree. I think that's a great spot. I think it's great for the Bears too because then DJ Moore's not going to like constantly be double teamed.
Yeah, I don't know if it's great for D-Hop.
I mean, that's why Howie should pick up the phone. Come on, Howie, pick up the phone. Let's get him.
I thought the Ravens made the most sense because they're like a team that's good that's only really missing a good wide receiver. That's true. Like the biggest thing that they're missing, and I think he likes Lamar.
Unless you really believe in,
they've been missing that though for the last 25 years.
Yeah,
I mean, geez.
Yeah.
Okay. What about Zeke Elliott? It's late in the season. He's still hanging around. Is he waiting for a training camp injury?
He's not getting signed, dude. He's not getting signed.
You think he's out of the league?
I don't think he's out of the league, but I don't think he's getting like he's gonna be he's gonna start as he's gonna be competing for a spot on a team. He's not just gonna sign a contract and be guaranteed a spot. He's going to have to actually compete for a spot for the first time in his career.
So forget the NFL top 100. Just looking at running backs, he might not be in the top 100 is what you're saying.
I'm not saying not in the top 100, but he's definitely.
Well, I mean, if there's 3 to every team, give or take, that's 96. So.
See, the funny thing is I could actually see a lot more teams that Zeke fits on than Dalvin Cook because I think that you can put Zeke in as the goal line guy, as your –
the Vikings.
As Zeke could be the perfect 2019 Jordan Howard, who would only come in and he would have 2 carries for 2 yards and 2 touchdowns in the game. Like they would only ever Jordan Howard was the best vulture of all time. Like in fantasy football, he was always the guy who.
No, Jerome Bettis was number 1.
Okay, maybe, but there was one year where Jordan Howard every year would just come in and punch it in after doing nothing for the entire
4
drive.
Carries, 10 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Exactly. So I think you put Zeke on. You could put Zeke on the Dolphins. You could put Zeke on the Patriots. You could put Zeke on a lot of
him in Minnesota.
Put him behind Joe Mixon on the Bengals. Put him behind Nick Chubb as the new Kareem Hunt. There's a lot of places he works. I could very well see the Chiefs getting him and still kind of running. I'm sure that they're going to want to run Pacheco for a lot of next year. They still have Clyde. Clyde just fell off the face of the earth. So I mean,
San Francisco.
It's crazy to say it's easier to find a job as an RB 2-3 now than it would be a 1.
Yep.
Hey, all I'm going to say here,
really.
Yeah.
All I'm going to say here is that I just tried to look up his next team odds, try to get a feel for what his market is right now. There hasn't been an article put out about his next team odds since March. It is now June, so no one's talking about
We're like
him.
midway through June.
Midway through
Yeah.
June. No
No, at
one's
this point, he's
talking
waiting
about
for an
him.
injury.
No one seems to want him. So I don't know where he's going to end up, if he's going to end up legitimately like signing a contract anywhere. No one's been talking about him at all.
I think he goes home to Ohio
Cleveland.
and plays for
Cleveland makes a lot of
The
sense.
problem is Cleveland, it doesn't really, because they're kind of the same type of running back. Obviously,
Yeah.
one has a lot better value, but
You don't want to be taking Nick Chubb out on the goal line.
right. No, just you're going to stay with him
Yeah.
until you run him into the ground and don't re-sign him.
I'd say the Chargers is the kind of fit there. Maybe you want like
Yeah.
Zeke is the guy who can go and get you 4 or 5 yards, and then keep Austin
Chargers would
Eckler's
be a
head
smart
safe.
move.
Right. No, that's a good one. That's a good one. If you have Austin Eckler, you're going to
Yeah.
hate that too. Just
Yeah,
gonna
for
hate it.
sure.
So awesome. All right. Good talk. Football right around the corner. Going to get into some fantasy drafts by division. We have 4
Ooh.
guys this year, so that's going to be a lot tougher than we had it last year. We're going to have the explosion of John Mechie from the Houston Texans, which was my favorite draft pick last year when we did those things. And then, unfortunately.
Oh, and we might be getting a John Morant suspension tomorrow. So
Oh, that's right.
Oh, that's
wake up.
What are you
kids.
more looking forward to? The final speech from Jokic or the announcement of John Morant?
The
No,
final
the
speech
chaos
from Jokic.
must continue. You
The
have
final
no
speech from Jokic is gonna be like, I don't really care, thanks.
All right, I worked really hard.
He is
for it.
Ivan Drago from Rocky IV.
No.
I don't know if that's
He's
too
going
old.
to get up there and say, hard season. Thank you, wife. Thank you to my daughter.
Thank
All
you, wife.
All right. See you guys next season. Bye. Leaves.
Yep.
Done.
Done.
Season over.
Awesome.
We will not hear from Jokic for the next 2 months. He'll just be gone.
He's gonna give the Finals MVP trophy to like some kid in the crowd and be like, all right, here.
He'll just toss it. He's like, all right, ring. That's all I need. Let's go.
Yeah. Well, it'll probably happen tonight, so stay tuned, right?
Yep.
I just want to
Okay.
see a picture of Jokic in his horse carriage with the Larry O'Brien, like riding around Serbia with that.
I
I
thing.
want him to redo that picture that we post on our responses with him shirtless as a kid
Yep.
with the Larry O'Brien.
Honestly,
that could honestly top the Michael Jordan, with the trophy photo, or the Kobe in like the jacket.
Yeah.
Jokic with the shirt off with the
Hey,
trophy.
I'm just saying, as much as we're looking forward to the Jokic Finals MVP photos, I mean, I need the funniest season to continue. I can't wait to hear about what's going to happen to John Morant for being so stupid. This has been the funniest NBA season ever. I will stand by that. It has been
And
hilarious.
we will see the funniest NBA season come to an end tonight. So salute to one of the most memeable seasons of all time. We got a lot out of it. We made a lot of content. So thank you, Adam Silver, for great script. W script. Whoever.
Yeah,
wrote it.
good night, Steve
Indeed.
Champion. It was beautiful.
All
right.
Script.
We will see you guys next week. Check us out on TikTok and everywhere else. See ya.